Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923, AnyMac Home Mortgage, an equal housing lender, American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC, DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage, Lo-Fi Direct, Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent, License Lender, Broker Number, ML 338923, Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License Number, MC 338923, Rhode Island License Lender, License Number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Welcome to Sports Talk with RJ. I'm Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio. We got a busy show today. I mean, the Four Nations face-off, the Bengals trying to keep everyone. Stanton could be out for the Yanks for a little while, but we got to start with the game last night in Hartford. And with 11 minutes to go, it did not look good at all. It looked like Uconn was going to lose another one. They were down 53-39, but then they went on a 27-6 run to close out the game to win 66-59. Over Villanova to avenge their loss earlier in the year at Villanova. I mean, McNeely had 20. Terrace Reed was huge. 10 of his 13 points were in that run at the end of the game. He had those three huge baskets too. He had the basket to tie the game at 58. He had the dunk to put them up 4, and he had the basket to close out the game. So Terrace Reed was huge. McNeely played well, and yes, it wasn't pretty, but UConn bounced back and they got a win. They got a win last night in Hartford.
Yeah, they did. That was ugly for the first 30 or so minutes of that game. Thanks for Villanova too, because that was a lot of Villanova on their part.
Oh yeah,
I think
it's why Kyle Neptune should be fired soon.
Yeah, I think that was dagger last night.
Yeah,
it seems like so. But yeah, that was a nice comeback last night. Yeah, because for the first 30 minutes or so, I was like, man, this team might be playing that new dumb Crown Invitational that Fox pulling off this March. Which
there's no more NIT.
There is. They're the Big East, Big 10, and Big 12. It's like their top two. It's like the top two teams that don't get to the tournament get to go to Vegas for like the last week of March and going to play something like that. It's dumb.
Gotcha. Yep.
That's where I thought UConn was going. They lost that game last night. But yeah, you mentioned Terrace Reed was awesome the last 10 or so minutes, especially. I thought he did too on the defensive end. He did, I thought, a nice job of guarding Dixon as well there. Can't go for the up fakes. That's one thing. I hope he plays a lot Sunday just because he adds that physicality. You mentioned McNeely was good. Jalen Stewart's been okay. Like, he didn't do much, but he did come in when that run started. You're going to need him. So I thought that the defense since February 1st is in Bartorvik, if you sort it, it's 30th in the country. So the defense is getting better. The offense is starting to go. It's still 14th in the country, but it was top 10 for most of the year. So good comeback win. That was the desperation I think every UConn fan was looking for the first 3 months of the year. But because this is crazy. Do you know the last time that they've had the lead at half at home this year?
That's crazy. It's got to be against one of the really bad teams. I'm going to go back to. I go back to who they play in that. I'm thinking. Is it that? It was that. It was the Thanksgiving, the game right the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I can't remember it.
Yes.
But like the Alabama Eastern Shore is the last time they had a lead at halftime at home.
You're right. It's an HBCU.
Yes.
It's an HBCU.
Maryland Eastern Shore. Wow.
November 30th. I was still in it when they were.
Wow. Yeah, because they were losing halftime to DePaul. They were losing halftime to DePaul. They were losing halftime to Xavier. They won those games, but they were losing at halftime in those games. yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. And you talk about Terrace Reed, he's got to get into the starting lineup. I know it worked. He needs to. He's better than Samson Johnson. I'd put him in the starting lineup. The starting lineup should be Diarra, McNeely, Caravan, Terrace Reed, and McNeely and Solo Ball. That should be the starting lineup. He should be starting over Samson Johnson. I'm tired of Samson Johnson starting. I would start Terrace Reed over him.
No, I agree. Because Samson, both these centers are very inconsistent. And I know Samson makes a lot of really dumb fouls at times. Like there was one last night where, because Hurley likes to hedge them out 30 feet, off of ball screens. And, Samson was guarding Eric Dixon for a possession or a couple last night, and he got a dumb foul out there. So, yeah, because edge of 4-2 is going to bring the physicality, and Terrace Reed, one of the most physical guys in the Big East, and he showed it last night against Eric Dixon. So I agree with you. They're going to need it on Sunday because we know about what St. John's going to do. So yeah, they're going to need it. And you mentioned too the comebacks. They're 4-1 this year when they trail by at least 14 points this year, Uconn. So it's
that's a little crazy to think of. Yeah, because I think they trailed by 14 to DePaul too. They trailed by 14 to DePaul.
They did.
Did they trail by 14? Was it Xavier too? They trailed by 14 to Xavier.
I don't know if it was 14. It was Providence.
They were down 14. Providence. They were. I remember Providence. Yeah, Providence.
Yeah.
Providence, DePaul.
Baylor.
Oh, bad team.
If they were down 14.
Baylor.
I want to say
those games. Yeah, it was those games.
Yeah.
So that's good. It shows fight for this team. It shows fight, but also the concern is they've gotten off some really, really bad starts in games. You've seen last night. You saw a couple weeks ago against DePaul. You mentioned the Providence game, really, really bad starts. Even, the game on Saturday, the big reason why they lost it is because they got off to a bad start.
Yeah. Yeah, because you go up 12-2 against SC and Hall team, they're going to quit and lie down. They just are.
Yeah.
Like, DePaul beat that team by 27. DePaul.
I know.
That was, I don't even want to go back to Saturday. That felt like a Kevin Ollie loss. That I just didn't want to watch it after that.
Definitely the worst loss to Hurley year on Saturday.
Yeah, by far. That's a team in the 200s. Luckily, Colorado got up to a quad 2 last night, so that's only a quad 2 loss now. So now you have one of those on your resume. But still, that was bad. So yeah, they've gone out to poor starts. They're going to need to get off to a very good start against St. John's on Sunday, which that's going to be a UConn's won 8 straight at the Garden. St. John's hasn't lost at home, so somebody's streak at their home arena's got to lose Sunday.
And you said it. Something's got to give on Sunday. I mean, UConn. Yeah, they've won 8 straight at the Garden. I think their last loss was the Marquette loss. Marquette,
2023.
I think we both were at that game.
Yes,
2023.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the 2023.
I walked that.
Finals.
I don't know if you had the same thought. I did not think they were winning that championship walking that building that night.
I didn't either. But that loss propelled them to winning that title in 2023. But yeah, they've won 8 straight. St. John's hasn't lost a game. Now their last loss at the Garden was the loss to UConn in the semifinals last year. So both the last 2 Big East semifinals were the last 2 times these 2 teams have lost to the Garden. And I think it should be a fun game. UConn always plays well there, but the thing is St. John's has definitely been better this year. They're first place in the Big East. UConn's in 4th place in the Big East. It should be packed. The place should be sold out at the Garden on Sunday. It should be packed. But before we make our prediction for that game, we'll talk about what UConn has to do to win the game. And for me, they got to hit threes. This team pretty much lives and dies by the 3. And they got to hit threes. And why did they beat Marquette? Because they hit threes. Why did they beat Creighton on the road? Because they hit threes. They got to hit threes. They got to hit their threes. McNeely, Ball, Caravan, they got to be on. They got to hit threes. Number 2 for me, they got to get an inside game. Terrace Reed has got to start, and Terrace Reed has got to play well. They got to have an inside game. That's the other thing for me. They got to have an inside game if they're going to win. If they're going to win this game, they're going to pull this upset on Sunday. And then number 3. They got to contain R.J. Lewis. R.J. Lewis had 21 points against them last time. Hit the game clinching shot against them last time. They got to contain R.J. Lewis. They do those 3 things. I woun't be surprised if they win their 9th straight at the Garden, even with the way they've been playing, even with how inconsistent they've been over the last month and a half.
Yeah, you mentioned the inconsistencies. They went to Creighton and Marquette, 2 games that I don't think anybody thought they were going to win, and they did win it. So they usually play their best when it's a big moment. But my 3 for this one, they can't turn the ball over.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Like they did against Saint the first time. They did over 20 turnovers. That cost them the game. They've really struggled against the press this year. Trying to get even the ball inbound has been an issue this year. Thank God Nova was pressing, but the players actually got to try to press, and they weren't really doing that last night. So that's one for me. Two is kind of like your second point too with Terraces. You got to bring the physicality of St. John's. We know they're going to bring it. They're like St. John's is like a New York City team. Great defense, physicality. They're not flashy. They're just going to play really hard on both ends of the floor, and that's why I do think Terrace should start. Bring it to Ejiofor, who he's starting to hit a couple threes too. I think he had 3 or 4 against Creighton on Sunday. St. John's going to wear you down. That's what they did the first time around. So they got to bring that physicality. And if you get it from Terrace Reed, especially early, it's going to be huge. And my third one is rebound the basketball like you did the first time. Again, they should have won that first meeting. They just threw the ball away 20, they had 22 turnovers. Rebound the basketball because that's the hardest thing to do against St. John's. They're one of the best rebounding teams on both sides of the floor. I think they're number one in offensive rebounding. They're right there in the top 3. So if you can keep them off the glass because their best offense is second chance opportunities, you can win this basketball game. So they've done a better job with Lee McNeely coming back since his injury. So if they do that, they got a shot. You got to keep them off the glass. And we'll see. But I expect this team to show up because they usually show up when in the bigger games this year. They have of late.
They have, and that's a good point. They have shown up in the bigger games. I mean, you look at the game at in Garden at Gonzaga, we mentioned the 2 games against against Marquette and Creighton, and also another thing, they did play well in the first half of that St. John's game. They fell apart in the second half, and again, Terrace Reed, he definitely has to start. I mean, 12 points in the last game, 12 points he had against St. John's. He definitely has to start. And the key guy is Caravan. He's the most experienced guy. He had a terrible game against St. John's at Gamble. He has got to be the guy that has a big game in the Garden on Sunday. It's going to come down to that. I think it's going to be inside play, and either one of the two or the 3 guys have to have big games. Ball or McNeely. Ball or McNeely or Caravan. 2 of those 3 guys have to have big games for UConn to get this win.
I agree because Solo got off to a hot start against St. John's, and then Bettino pretty much shut him down the rest of the game. He did, they keyed on him the rest of the way. Caravan's a big one. His left hand last night was heavily wrapped, and Hurley even kind of mentioned, I think, that he might be drained right now, and maybe that's why some of the shooting numbers have been way down with him. Because you don't forget how to shoot. And I don't know if it's the legs right now in him is why he's been so cool from the field. But yeah, it'd be nice to get a couple of knocked down from him. McNeely's a big one too. He played well against Gonzaga at the Garden. Big one. I assume St. John's going to probably throw Kadari Richmond on him, who's a really good defender. That's going to be a tough matchup for him. And he played better in the second half against that St. John's game. But obviously, the first half, he was a lot of rust. He had to get off of him. I'm going to throw one more in there that I think is Jalen Stewart. He's played well at the Garden. He had 10 early against Gonzaga. He hit a couple big shots last year in the championship game to Marquette to get them rolling. So he's usually played well at the Garden. He struggled defensively the first time against St. John's. They kind of attacked him a little bit. But they're probably going to need Jalen Stewart too. I know he didn't play a ton last night, but they could really use him Sunday too. I think he's another one that could, if he can get like 10 points again, would be huge.
Yeah, definitely is key to that. Definitely is key to that game. Now, going into the game, I know UConn has won at Marquette and at Creighton, and I wouldn't be surprised if they win this one. I wouldn't be. St. John's is, and yes, they're good, but they struggle to shoot threes. They struggle to shoot 3-point shots. So I wouldn't be surprised if they beat St. John's, but on the road. I know they actually been better on the road than they've been at Gamble. No, but I mean, in certain situations, I mean, not on Saturday, but they've been better on the road than they've been at home. This team has been so Jekyll and Hyde, but I just feel like St. John's is playing really well this year, and I feel like they're going to win the Big East regular season, and I think they win the game. I think they win. I think it's close. I'm saying around 72-67. I think St. John sweeps them. This year. But Justin, can UConn get revenge from their loss at Gamble and move closer? Could they get revenge from their loss at Gamble and split with St. John's this year.
Yeah, I don't think so. I got St. John's winning 71-64 type game, something like that. I think to be hard nosed, kind of again like the first meeting. It was an old school Big East kind of clash. Very physical game. I hope the refs let them play on Sunday. Now maybe that's not the worst thing in the world for UConn because St. John's they do hack a lot, but UConn does as well. And I also think too, Pitino's throwing out that white suit, and he's bringing his friend back in the blazer.
Oh yeah,
Big East tournament. So
oh yeah,
Pitino's gonna have all that going too. So I just think St. John's finds a way again. KenPom has the game 8, St. John's 8-point spread. So I do think St. John's finds a way at home. I just think they grind UConn down like they have everybody else this year.
8 points, that's a lot. I think it's a lot. 8 points for the 2-time defending national champs. And let's be honest, St. John's, we're not talking about Auburn here. We're not talking about Florida here. We're not even talking about Duke here. St. John's I'm not saying they're good, but they benefited from the Big East not being that good this year. Let's be honest. They benefited from the Big East not being that good. They're a bad 3-point shooting team. 8 points, that's a lot. Now I think St. John's wins the game, but 8 points, that's a lot.
Yeah, it does seem a little high, but I think he's got St. John's like in the top 10. He still has UConn like 36 right now. Like UConn's analytical numbers aren't great at the moment. Like they're just ahead of Nebraska, which not great. So I think that's kind of a big part of it. I think it's still he's still still at 70. He's got 75, 67. I think it's a little bit more high scoring than it will be, but I just think St. John's defense is just so good. And hey, if they can hit some shots against UConn, I think they should be able to win the basketball game. So I don't think St. John's is a team built to win in March. I just don't because of the way they play. But hey, it works in the Big East. It's a New York style way. And again, Pitino could say all he wants that he cares about St. John's, but I think me and you both know it's for himself. It's not really about St. John's. It's for himself. You
heard his rant against Providence.
Oh yeah, I did hear that. Yeah, I'd be mad if I was a parent of one of those guys. Like you're blaming the parent.
I know. I question your upbringings. You question this week. I question the upbringings you've been at. Yeah, he was a little. He went a little nuts. I know he's a great coach, and when he pissed on his team last year, it worked. But yeah, that speech was a little bit about him. I have to admit that. But the big question is you got the two coaches, probably arguably two of the top coaches in college basketball right now, Rick Pitino and Dan Hurley. The question is, who are you taking between the two? This one might surprise you. I'm still going to say Pitino because of what he's done with the program. I mean, the way he built up Kentucky. I mean, that program was kind of we had a lot of sanctions and everything, and the way he built them up and won a national title, and then pretty much built before he left, got to a national title game in '97, then left for the Celtics, and pretty much built that title team that Tubby Smith won. Tubby Smith is right there with Kevin Ollie as one of the worst coaches to win a national title. But yeah, he did a good job at Kentucky. Then Louisville. I know it got vacated, but he won a national title at Louisville, got to 2 Final Fours at Louisville. And then when he's done here at St. John's, I mean, St. John's has still not won a tournament game since 2000. They hadn't been last year. He got them to the second weekend. They've got them to the semifinals of the Big East tournament since 2000. St. John's has been a terrible program, and he's got them to being the top team in the Big East. So it's a tough one here, but I'm going to go Pitino.
Yeah, if we're not dispute all the off court stuff, I think you have to go Pitino because I think Pitino's a better game day coach than Hurley is still. Like Pitino outcoached Hurley that first meeting this year. The way that they shut down UConn after that hot 26-12 start. So yeah, I can't stand the man. He's just he's scum. But I think he's still a pretty good X's and O's coach, and I still think he has it. And he's done a nice job. Kind of where again he got Providence to a Final Four, which is again that's pretty impressive. So he's done a really nice job, and St. John's too deserves some credit. They finally wanted to get good at basketball, and the perfect kind of fit here. So we'll see after Pitino if they're able to, whenever he decides to hang it up, what they'll do. But right now I still take Pitino because I think in a close game Sunday, Pitino probably outcoaches Dan Hurley, and Dan Hurley's done a nice job the last couple of years. They were probably due to miss on a couple evaluations this year. They have, and I still think Pitino X and O's wise is still up there as one of the best.
This is nothing against Dan Hurley. He's done a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
These might be the top 2 coaches in the country right now. They might be the top 2 coaches in the country.
Ain't Bill Self.
Bill Self's up there too. I'd probably go Pitino, Hurley, and Bill Self. Both these guys are top 3 coaches right now. They're both top 3 coaches. So nothing against Hurley. Just why I would take Pitino is he's done it longer. He's done it longer, and he's rebuilt pretty much now. He's rebuilt 3 programs. The guy's a basketball Hall of Famer. You could argue, he has 2 national titles, but he really has 3. That Kentucky team in '98, that was his team. Yeah. He took Providence to the final. He took everywhere. And I forgot to talk about Providence. He rebuilt Providence. He made Providence relevant. He made that. So he's made like 4 programs. He's rebuilt 4 programs. It's just nothing against Dan Hurley. He's done an outstanding job at Uconn. Better than I think anybody thought he was going to do. But Rick Pitino's a Hall of Fame. Is a Hall of Famer, and he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. One of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time. So that's why he still is a phenomenal coach. That's why, as much as I hate to say it, I would take Pitino.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything he said. Yeah, I can't stand the man. The way he runs some of his programs in the past aren't great. Like the Louisville stuff that went down there, that's not great. But till X and O's wise, he does a very good job motivating his players. He does get into them, and they usually do respond. And his teams always play really good defense. And again, he's done a good job here at St. John's. And again, I really question if he gets St. John's like even being like a top 10 or ever win the Big East. And right now he's got him there. So it's gonna be interesting. Like next year, losing to Richmond, it sounds like he's gonna lose RJ Lewis, but he's done an unbelievable job there. So yeah, I'd still take Pitino because again, defensively, he's because they've gone down in games too, and Pitino always does a nice job of making adjustments. And in this team, I do think he's gotten better throughout the season.
They definitely have. They absolutely have. Because you remember that game they referenced in that. Now you've watched that documentary, right? You've watched part of that documentary. I've watched part of it.
I can't watch Pitino. I can't do it. I tried, but I can't.
The one where they were losing, they had like 42 points to Providence in the first half, and he completely.
Yes, I saw that video. So, I didn't see the show. I haven't watched the show.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of the show. Yeah, but no, he's I mean, listen. Love him or hate him, he's a great coach, and he's done a great job wherever he's been. If it's been Providence, if it's been Kentucky, if it's been Louisville, if it's been St. John's, he's done a great job wherever he's been. So should be a very interesting game on Sunday between those 2 teams, between Uconn and St. John's. We'll see if Uconn can avenge their loss to St. John's from earlier in the month. But tomorrow night, you got a huge matchup. Who would have thought we'd have a huge matchup between USA and Canada this year in February? But we do. But before we talk about that, we're going to hear from our friends. We're going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEG's Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEG's Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEG's Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut.
There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
Alrighty, who would have thought we'd have a USA versus Canada hockey game in the middle of February, and it was a non-Olympic year? But we got it because of what the NHL did with their All-Star game, and they decided to take 2 weeks off and play this four nations face-off, and it's been so successful. I mean, you saw USA beat Finland, and then the game on Saturday night, that game on Saturday between the USA and Canada, where there were 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. What did you think of when you saw 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of the game? 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of the game. And USA came back. They won that game 3-1, and now they play tomorrow. They play for the championship. They play tomorrow for the championship. You got Canada and the USA. And Justin, I'll ask you this: what does the USA have to do to win the world? To win this, first annual Four Nations face-off? What does Team USA have to do?
So for Team USA, number one, Connor Hellebuyck needs to be strong in net again. He played really well. The one goal he led up against, in game 1 against Finland was a weak one. He needs to play well. The playoffs, like last year, he had a goal average of like over 5, but in the regular season, been very good. He's really struggled in the big games. He played well Saturday night. They need him to show up on Thursday and have a big game. Number 2 is play well on the special teams. They're 2 for 5 heading into the game the other night. Sweden, they did go 0 for 3, but a couple guys didn't play in that one. So again, you capitalize off of the special teams, get a power play goal would be huge. And then thirdly is the bottom 6, like the Dylan Larkin scored on Saturday. Canada's got, I think the nice thing about this tournament too is you do know all, 12 forwards, all 18 guys on the roster because they are popular guys in the NHL. But both teams have a lot of talent, even on the 3 or 4 line. So, that includes Canada. So, if the U.S. could kind of get something out of their 3rd and 4th lines, I think it'd be huge, like they did on Saturday night. So for them, the third, the bottom 6 plays well. The special teams and Connor Hellebuyck in net plays well.
Yeah, if they keep getting the goaltending, the U.S. keeps getting the goaltending they definitely have a good chance to beat them. Now moving over to the Canadian side, what do they got to do to win the game?
I think for Canada, they got to attack the U.S., with their speed. Like guys like Connor McDavid, you saw him have the goal on Saturday night. You saw Nathan McKinnon. He's got a ton of speed. Bad Marchand still does as well. So, and they got the speed to get by the U.S. defenders. And one thing is, too, McAvoy is not going to play for Team USA on Saturday or on Thursday because of an injury. And Saturday, he was the one that he gave McDavid a couple hits, on the board. So he was one of the more physical guys on Saturday night. So that could be a loss there. Number 2 is Bennington's got to outplay Hellebuyck. He hasn't been outstanding this playoffs. And, the 2 against USA were tough because they're in bad changes. But again, for Canada, there's no Roberto Luongo. There's no Martin Brodeur. There's no Patrick Roy anymore. Bennington's not bad, but U.S. has the advantage of net. So he's got to play well. And number 3 for them is the early crowd or the early start. I mean, they got to have to get off to an early start in this one. It's going to be Boston. There's definitely going to be Canadian fans there, but, I know they got up to a 1-0 lead there tonight. They couldn't hold on to it. But if the U.S. goes up like 1-0 or 2-0, it's going to be a pretty tough comeback for Canada. They got a ton of talent, so I wouldn't be shocked if they do it. But it'd be huge for them to get their early start, kind of quiet the USA crowd down a bit.
And you talked about, there'll definitely be Canadian fans in Boston. But now, speaking of the Boston, the current Boston Bruin, Charlie McAvoy, it's McAvoy, right? Who's out for US?
McAvoy, he's going to be out. Yeah.
Yeah. So McAvoy, you talked about McAvoy being out for Team USA. How big of a loss is that? How big of a loss is McAvoy being out? How big of a loss is that going to be for Team USA with McAvoy out?
I think it could be a decent sized loss for him because he brought the physicality there on Saturday night. I believe it's gonna I think it's gonna be Quinn Hughes that's gonna take his spot. I believe, I think it's gonna be Quinn Hughes who's gonna take his spot on Thursday night. So he's still a physical guy. He's but McAvoy's kind of a veteran guy, and he was not afraid to go after McDavid. Now, Hughes does play in Vancouver. They do have a nice spicy rivalry up there in Edmonton. So maybe he does lay the body with McAvoy, that veteran guy, and hey, he's playing in Boston too. So to have him, kind of would have played in front of his regular home crowd, but it's definitely gonna be a tough loss because Quinny is a really talented young defenseman. He's but McAvoy is a veteran guy, who loves to lay the body. So it's definitely it's definitely a loss there for Team USA that they're not gonna have McAvoy on Thursday night. But
Yeah,
Matthew Tkachuk should play though too, so
that's good.
he should be back.
That's good that Tkachuk is playing. And now predictions for the game. And what's your pick here? Does the U.S. win this one? Do they win it? Do they do what they did on Saturday night and beat Canada and win this thing?
Yeah, I can't pick against the U.S. I get the U.S. win this thing. I'll go 3-2. I think a fun game. Again, the NHL hit it out of the park with this thing. So I'm really excited for this game tomorrow night, and I do think the U.S. find a way to get it done 3-2.
Yeah, I agree. I think U.S. is going to win. I think U.S. is going to win. And you were definitely right about the NHL hitting it out of the park. You're definitely right about it. And the NHL doesn't hit much out of the park. Let's be honest. No. The NHL doesn't, but Batman did. Batman did here. This was a really good idea for the Four Nations face-off. And I think this is something that, a league like the NBA should adopt. They should have, maybe, obviously have Team USA, have a team from Spain, maybe a team from Serbia. Maybe I think it's something the NBA should adopt because their All-Star game right now is a joke. This is probably since baseball, started had the home field advantage thing, start at the beginning of the home field advantage thing. I think this is the best idea that an All-Star game has had, having the Four Nations face off.
Yeah, it is. And the players asked for Bettman to have this. They said they wanted some international type of event like this. And so this is what the players wanted. And you saw it Saturday night right out of the gate with the Tkachuk brothers and JT Miller going out with the fights and talking about in the group chat. Like you saw those guys want to go out there and do it. And it sounds like because this was kind of more at the last minute, so it sounds like it's going to be more of a World Cup style. They're hoping for the next time. And it's going to be a rotation. So it sounds like next year's like an all-star game with the Olympics because the NHL players are going to be able to play in the Olympics next year. Then maybe in 2027 this comes back. I think it sounds like they want like 6 teams. So maybe, obviously for good reason, right now Russia's not in it, but maybe potentially 2 years if things kind of settle down to Russia. Maybe they're included with a Slovakia or like a Switzerland or maybe the Czech Republic, like something like that. So this is what because then I don't know if Ovechkin will be here in 2 years, but like you get Ovechkin too in that, to bring eyeballs. So yeah, the NHL's done it right. So it sounds like it could be a rotation too, where it's going to be maybe like every other year. It sounds like, but yeah, I think the NHL did it right, and I'm glad Bettman listened to players. So yeah, because I know we're going to get to it the NBA, but yeah, I don't really get into All-Star games or anything like this. I wasn't really sure going in how this was going to be, but again, it's kind of hooked me onto it.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching tomorrow night. And I think a lot of people are going to watch tomorrow night. I think it's going to get really good ratings. ESPN's going to get great ratings for it. I'm definitely going to watch tomorrow night. This was a great idea compared to the NBA. The NBA, unfortunately, their All-Star game, and it started with the players not caring. That's what it started with, the players not caring at all. And now you almost on Sunday night you didn't even know which guy was on which team. That's how much that All-Star game is completely fallen off.
Yeah, it is, and yeah, it's bad. And I didn't understand what it was going in. I didn't watch any of it, but like I did not understand it. What they were trying to do there, and yeah, they really need to change it up. And look, I don't think the sport itself's in a good place either. Like the ratings are not good. And look, when your 3 biggest stars in the media of Barkley, Shaq, and Kenny Smith are destroying it every night, it's not good for the product. It's just not. And I think it's in a bad spot. And look, I think you know me well enough. I don't like seeing 75 threes a night. I just don't. That does not get me into games. Like, I'll watch the Kings because I'm a fan, but like trying to watch a game not involving the Kings regular season, it's just hard for me to tune in for more than like 10 minutes. I don't enjoy it. So yeah, they need to figure out the All-Star game because that's another thing. Like, I just don't want to see 2-on-1 guys just going up for lobs or like Steph Curry pulling for 50 feet. Like, that does not, I don't like, I'm not a big Steph Curry fan. I don't care they pulling off. I don't like it. So yeah, the NBA's got a big problem right now. And again, I know they're getting loads of money, but I do hope Silver takes some steps here to try to improve the game because I don't think it's in a good spot. I just don't.
It's not. And I think now it's clearly still bigger than the NHL. It's clearly bigger than that. But yeah,
yeah.
you look at it like you look at baseball. That's gotten better since 2023 with the pitch clock. That's actually gotten better. The pace of the game, that's actually gotten better. And the NFL, you can't touch that. That's king. No one's going to touch the NFL. No one's touching the NFL. That's king. College football has gotten better with the 12-team playoff. I feel like, but yeah, the NBA right now, and you know, with the decision and the ratings did spike a little bit there, but yeah, the NBA right now, it's not in a good place. It really isn't. It really isn't. It's not even close to the NFL. Baseball and it's pretty much, you know, baseball is pretty much closing in on it. Now there was a time where the NBA surpassed baseball, but baseball's getting back up there though. So yeah, and hockey's never going to be. Let's be honest, hockey's never going to be big. But this was a really good idea by Batman. And yeah, the NBA they got to make some changes because they got to stop all this, you know, load management and stuff, and try to and they need the league to be more competitive because yeah, the ratings have definitely suffered because of it.
Yeah, they have, and yeah, it's not good, and yeah, like I don't know if you saw the range for the NBA All-Star game. The game Saturday night with the NHL had 10.1, which I guess was the most like non Stanley Cup game in like over a decade. So so that's good for the sport of NHL. But yeah, like it doesn't help when the TNT crew destroys it. Draymond Green goes on the other night and destroys it. I get you don't want the hand checking anymore, but like we have some physicality. Like it's like you breathe on a guy, it's a foul nowadays. Like you can't guys go up, you have a wide open layup, guys are kicking out for three. Like I get that, two more than three, you're gonna hit it like 40% of the time. I get why we shoot it, but like can we not do it 75 times a game? Because there's no strategy to the game anymore. It's just like you're just watching them you're just watching the 3-point contest every night. I just don't get into it. So yeah, the other sports have tried to, there's other sports that are trying to make their game better. I hope Silver does the same because it's just not fun. The load management, that drives me crazy as well. And that's enough. These NHL guys, they're laying the body on the line there. Like they're fighting, and these NBA guys just, you got guys you got guys that don't want to play back to backs, and it's just like, what are we doing here? Again, I've kind of been the last couple of years like they should start. I know it's gonna be tough now with the NFL playing Christmas, but like, why don't you start on like Christmas Day or even like nothing goes on Christmas Eve? Why don't you maybe do Christmas Eve instead of Christmas Day and start your year then?
Yeah,
try to make that the first day of the year.
Yeah,
because it's not great right now.
Yeah, try to evolve and Now I'm not saying the NHL is ever going to take over the NBA, but the thing, and it would never for me either. But the thing is the NHL is at least trying to make their product better, while the NBA is they're just going through the motions right now. They're just going through the motions. That's why they're falling further and further. I mean, further away. The NFL is much bigger than them, and baseball's starting to take over, starting to get back ahead of them because of all this.
Yeah, they are, and and it's on. I know Silver's, I know he's been on a couple of podcasts and all that, and like I know he is, like at least I think he's trying to attempt it to make it better. I just, with the NBA All-Star game, going back to that, like why don't you just name an All-Star game and just like or name guys All-Star teams just don't even play the game, just like give them the weekend off. I just feel like that's even better now because like again the NBA don't. I used to love. This is like back 10, 15 years ago. I used to love to watch the dunk contest. I watched Sunday Morning Jacksons and Stephon Castle because they just went to Uconn. That's the only reason why I watched those two. They're highlights of the dunk contest Saturday night. If it wasn't for them two, I wouldn't have cared less. Like I just, even that, I don't even care about anymore. So yeah, it's just bad as a whole. And you mentioned baseball's kind of closed the gap. Again, I think so. I always enjoy the Stanley Cup playoffs more than I do the NBA playoffs. And that's always something that I'm gonna like more. But like before I started to do the podcast with you, I couldn't tell you the last time I watched an NBA playoff, like even a playoff game. I watched 10 Kings games a year. That was it. And then I would not watch the playoffs. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I haven't been a fan of the sport for a while. And it just seems like it's getting worse. It's just not an enjoyable product. And I don't like these 140s and 130s every night. I get Steph Curry's the best shooter of all time. I get it. But I also think there is a part that he has ruined the sport because That's all kids want to do now, just pull from 40 feet. We have these 7'3" guys just shooting from 40 feet now. And it's just like, I miss the days of watching Shaq and Patrick Ewing in the paint. I was a center growing up. I used to love watching those guys bang in the paint. Now you don't see any of that. So it's
Nope.
just, it's just not. I just don't enjoy it. I just don't enjoy the sport.
Yeah. The NBA's got work to do to fix their All-Star game, and they've tried to fix it many times and just hasn't worked. In the NHL, they hit a home run here. They hit a home run here with the Four Nations face-off. So it should be a really, really fun game tomorrow night. But we got to move on. I did find an NFL story this week, and that's the Bengals and their offseason. And Joe Burrow has said he wants everyone back. He wants, Jamar Chase. He wants T. Higgins. He wants Trey Hendrickson. He wants all those guys back. But the issue is it's I think it's impossible to bring all three back. I think it's impossible. Now, the Bengals are planning on placing the franchise tag again on T. Higgins. So they're planning to do that. I would be shocked if they don't come up, don't get a long-term deal done with Jamar Chase. I mean, he won the Triple Crown this year, so I think he's getting over 30. I think he's getting $36 million a year. So I'd be shocked. So I'd be shocked by that. I think the guy they're going to let walk is going to be Trey Hendrickson because they're just not going to be able to afford him. And he's getting a little bit older too. He's a free agent after next season. He'd be north of 30. So the guy who I think walks is Trey Hendrickson. So what I do think is going to happen is I think they're going to sign both. I think they're going to sign Higgins to a long-term deal, and they're going to sign Jamar Chase to a long-term deal. I think they're both going to sign to long-term deals. I think the player eventually who's going to have to walk or could get traded is Trey Hendrickson because I don't see them keeping all three guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult, and I agree. I think they're gonna keep chasing Higgins. Unfortunately, hoping Higgins would be up in New England next year. But their defense needs a ton of work. I get Hendrickson's getting older, but how bad is their defense gonna be if you spend all your money on your offense? That's what I worry about. Is how is this team gonna win? I know you have Joe Burrow, but how bad is this defense gonna be if you because I don't trust this organization to draft. I don't really, so I get it. That it'd probably be those two. They're going to let Hendrick walk, but man, their defense is going to be, it was bad this year. I can't imagine how bad it could be next year if they don't, who are you bringing in to fix that defense? I don't know. I know they fired Louis Moreno, but I don't think that's the issue. I think there's a lot more in that defense. So, and they're that owner's notoriously cheap too, right?
Yes, he is. Yeah. I mean, he should. Now, I know a lot of receivers don't get paid until their fourth year, but he should have paid Jamar Chase because he knew he was going to keep him, and he knew he was going to have to pay T. Higgins the next year.
Yeah. They should have got that one done sooner. They didn't. That's going to be a mistake because, man, you're probably talking 88 at close to 80 million of those two wide receivers. Yeah. Maybe 75 to 80 million. That's a lot. And you're paying Burrow what? Burrow's getting north of 50?
North of 50, yeah.
That's a lot of money you're giving to three guys. That you trust Zach Taylor? I don't. No, do you trust that front office to draft? Not really. Yeah. I love Joe Burrow. I know I mentioned it a couple months ago. I really think he could be the next Dan Marino. Unfortunately, because he's got a ton of talent. I just would not be shocked to not see because it's unfortunate for him.
It is. Yeah, I think when it's all said and done, he could be the guy who. He could be, one of the best quarterbacks, and he could be right behind him as one of the best quarterbacks to ever win a Super Bowl. And it's kind of similar too, because Dan Marino had good receivers really good receivers like Mark Clayton and Mark Duper, had the Marks brothers. But it's unfortunate. Yeah, the organization. This is just. If you look at like general managers, Mike Brown, he's in the middle. He's probably right below Jerry Jones. And I know he's not a terrible GM as an owner. I'm not comparing the Bengals and Cowboys in terms of like the money that both make, but what I will compare them is that both owners are the GMs of the teams, and that's not, and neither are terrible. I mean, Mike Brown grew up in a football family with one of the greatest coaches of all time, with Paul Brown. That's his father, so he grew up in a football family. The issue is stuff like this, and we saw this with the Cowboys last year. We saw this with the Cowboys when they waited the last minute to pay CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, so they couldn't spread the money around to sign any free agents. We saw this last year. Negotiating contracts for both teams are disastrous. They're disastrous. The Cowboys, I think, are a little bit of a better organization because they're a better drafting team. but negotiating contracts are disastrous, and that's why they're in the situation. The Bengals are in the situation they're in right now. And if you look at the top QBs in this league and the organizations they're in, Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs, definitely a better organization. Ravens, Lamar Jackson, definitely a better organization, and the Bills, they're a better organization. Out of those four organizations, Burrow definitely plays in the worst one.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's disappointing. And that division's unbelievably good, and there's a ton of talent. And again, Burrow got him there, a couple years ago, and was the one that was able to go into Arrowhead and knock off
That was
Patrick Mahomes.
amazing.
And
That was an unreal run. That playoff run was unreal. To get sacked 9 times and win the game, then to go to Arrowhead, which no one has been able to do but him, and Tom Brady, and win an Arrowhead Stadium. He did that, and then he got sacked 7 times and nearly won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was a bad offensive line too, and for him to be able to get there, and for them, the Bengals not be able to capitalize off of it, it's disappointing because he's an Ohio kid, loved definitely love to get that Bengals a couple of rings, but yeah, it just seems like it's not impossible, but it's gonna be tough because again, maybe the Chiefs, the Chiefs are still be right there. The Bills still have Josh Allen, the Ravens still have Lamar. The Chargers only could get better with Harbaugh there. Like the division or the conference isn't really getting much easier. It's just not, and that division's not going to get easier. Like maybe the Browns find a quarterback. Maybe they're not because the Browns still have some talent. Like if Myles Garrett's still there, the Browns still do have some talent. Like there's not. Like it's just it's just an uphill battle. And you mentioned with Dallas, they don't bring the money Dallas does, but this is the kind of the problem with the owners being GMs. It just doesn't always work out, even though, they do know something about football, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's better to kind of clear yourself from being the GM, and it's better. But they haven't seemed to kind of quite do that yet, and it's definitely gonna cost them. And they definitely missed out on paying Chase last summer.
They did. They definitely did. They definitely did. Now, my prediction is this, and I said earlier: Chase and Higgins get paid, and Henderson walks. That's my prediction with this.
Yeah, I agree too. I agree. They'll keep Higgins. They'll keep those two for Joe Burrow, and Hendricks is gonna walk, and we'll see what they do. They definitely need to go draft somebody in the first round, and hopefully they hit on that pick to help that defense any way possible because they're gonna need it big time.
Absolutely. So we'll see what happens there. Now, wrap up the show talking about baseball, and the big story in baseball is Vlad Guerrero and the Blue Jays, and they can't get a long-term deal done. Guerrero and the Jays can't get a long-term deal done, and the big question is he going to be a Blue Jay after next year, or is he even going to be a Blue Jay till the end of the season? Because he could potentially get traded. The Blue Jays probably want to get some value for him. I mean, you've seen the Blue Jays outside of Santander. They've missed out on free agents. Soto didn't look like they were going to get, but they really missed out on Pete Alonso. That was a big miss for the Blue Jays. Looking at them right now, they're probably the 4th best team in the AL East going into the season. I know Santander's and they'll be better with Santander and Bichette being healthy, but this is disappointing. This is disappointing for Toronto. I could very easily see him being traded at the deadline. I don't think he's going to be a Blue Jay after this year. I think it's officially over. I think it'll be over and he'll be signed somewhere else. I don't think the Blue Jays. I think he's done with the Blue Jays after this season.
Yeah, it's unfortunately for the city of Toronto, the country of Canada, because he was born in Canada. I know he says he wants to be there, and I know going into the season, I believe they have the worst ranked farm system in the league. So I felt like they should have gave him whatever he wanted, or not. They should have gave him some because next year, because Bo Bichette's about to be free agent too. Who are you gonna kind of have be your core guy to center your franchise around? They don't have that right now. Guerrero could have been that guy, and he's not. It doesn't seem like he's gonna go back. Unfortunately, maybe they get something, but it sounded like he kept the door open. But he said now you're gonna have to compete against the other 29 teams or something like that. So yeah, unfortunate that they couldn't get something done because when Guerrero, Bichette, and Biggio all came up, that was like, man, the second generation guys. Could they finally get Toronto to go back on a run here? And it just hasn't panned out for that ball club, unfortunately. So, yeah, and it stinks too that the top two destinations are the Yankees' two biggest rivals in the Mets and the Red Sox. So
Yep.
that's
Yep.
great too.
Yeah, yeah, and you mentioned it. Yeah, when they came, I remember I saw them when they came when they came to Hartford. When BGO, Bichette, and Guerrero when they all came up to Hartford, and we thought, because the Blue Jays they got into the ALCS with the Jose Batista and Encarnacion years. They got into the ALCS, but they were kind of falling off. That team was getting old. They weren't good. And we were thinking, in 2018 when they had those guys, we're thinking the future is bright. The future is bright. And then, they made the playoffs like 2020, 2021, 22. I think it was 2021, 22. And I think, no, they didn't make it in 21. They missed it. They just missed it. They were in it. They were in that race with the Yankees and Red Sox in 21. They missed it in 21, but they made it in 20, 22, and 23. They got knocked out in the first round in 20 and 23. You're thinking, you're thinking in 2018 this could be a great this thing could be they might win a championship. Things are coming back in Toronto. And last year they had a down year, and it feels like now this is their last chance to do anything. And I think after this year they're probably going to be rebuilding.
Yeah, I know it's unfortunate. Yeah, because man, I remember like that first night Guerrero came off, and like really wanted that was like much must-see TV for me. Guerrero's kind of first couple at bats in Toronto, and the moment and all that, and yeah, it's been disappointing. And you mentioned a few minutes ago, like do they end up trading? Because man, I'm not comparing him total Ohtani, but do you want to risk missing out and not getting absolute anything for him? Because again, going back to farm system, they have nothing in it right now. So, um, I think they could hang around because I don't know what you can get out of Scherzer, but it is Max Scherzer. You still have Gosman and you still have Chris Bassett and Barrios, so the rotation's not horrible. Maybe they hang around and they think they try to compete for a wild card spot, but yeah, it'll be tough. But yeah, it's unfortunate to see that Toronto just has not hit the full potential we thought that the core of Guerrero and Bichette, and I know Biggio didn't work out either, but like when those three came off, the potential we thought, it just hasn't worked out, which is even though they play in the American League, it's been disappointing.
It has been. It definitely has been, and yeah, it looks like they're gonna be rebuilding after the season. But now moving on from one guy I saw at Dunkin' Donuts Park to another guy, and that was Rafael Devers. I saw him in the upper deck in right field. With the Sox going out and signing Alex Bregman, they wanted Devers to become a DH or maybe switch positions, and wanted Bregman to play third base because Bregman just won a Gold Glove at third base. But Devers does not want to switch positions, and his teammate Tristan Cash has had his back, saying that he didn't want to switch positions. So the big thing here is a little bit controversial here. Should Devers play third? I'm in the camp that he should, because I don't know where else he would play, number one. And number two, who would play second base? So, and Bregman, as I said, I don't mind playing wherever. So I actually think, I know he's he's not good defensively at third, but his offense outweighs his defense, and having Bregman can play second. So I think they should I said it last week, I think Bregman should play second and Devers should play third.
Yeah, for me, Core's very close with the Devers, and I think by the end of spring training, I do think Core convinces them to be the everyday DH. I think the Red Sox master plan is they DH Devers, they get the Yoshida contract off their books, and they ship him out because they don't want him to be an outfielder at all. I think that's probably what they do. They probably ship out Casas because I think they want Vladdy. They're probably gonna be in the Vladdy sweepstakes, so they probably ship out Casas. And now for second base, they are very high on Christian Campbell. He's made the spring training roster, so he's going to get a shot, and he is one of their higher ranked prospects. So I think that's probably the Red Sox best lineup. Like if Campbell shows that he's ready to be the MLB major league player, they start him at second. You got Bregman at third, and then you can use Devers as your DH every day. Is a pretty potent lineup. So I think that's kind of what the Red Sox master plan is. But yeah, so I think Bregman probably starts at. I think that's what you should do because Bregman's the best third baseman, in the American League. I think Arenado's a little bit better, still than Bregman, but I think Bregman tried the second best one in the sport. So I probably go I'd have Bregman start at third.
So you think it's going to be Bregman at third, Campbell at second, Devers at the DH?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens. I mean, Yeah, Devers doesn't want to move, but and I don't know. I think they're going to keep Devers at third. I think they will. I think they'll keep him at third, and then if they see him struggle, I think they'll make that change. I think they'll go to Campbell, and then they'll move Bregman to third.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked by that. Yeah, after a couple errors, if he has a couple errors early on where Core kind of convinces him to move over, or to move the DH, could definitely see that possible. I did see this morning Devers was in early working on third, working on some midfield stuff. So he's back. So, that's all he could ask for. He's trying to back it up now by going out there every, in the morning, getting extra work in. So yeah, we'll see. But I could potentially see it. I think Core at some point will talk him out of it. And I think for the betterment of the team, Devers will at some point be the everyday DH.
Yeah, I think he will be too. I think eventually he will be. And not for opening day. I think opening day will start at third, but I think eventually that's how things are going to work out there. But we'll wrap up talking about the Yankees, and what a surprise. Stanton out for the Yankees with tendonitis in both of his elbows. He might not be ready for opening day. And the thing is, how much of a concern is this going to be if he's going to miss time? How much of a concern? I think it's going to be a little bit of a concern because with them losing Soto, they still have Judge. They got out and got Bellinger. They went out and got Goldschmidt in that lineup. We'll see what the Martian does. We'll see what Jason Dominguez does. With now being a full-time starter. But I think it's going to be a little bit of a concern. I do think it's going to be a concern with him out. I really do. But we've been dealing with this Yankee fans for a long time, Stanton not being healthy.
Yep. And if this injury goes back all the way last year, why didn't we add a Justin Turner or like a Alex Bregman? Why don't we do something so we could have a DH ready to go? Because I get it. Oh, you can move DH, Judge's DH every couple of days, but so then you want Trent Grisham playing every day in outfield?
I know that's what's going to be. That's what I feel like it's going to be. I feel like he's going to be the everyday center fielder. It's going to be Trent Grisham.
Yeah, and now they need another bat in the lineup, and because Trent Grisham's not an everyday guy. Maybe you try Oswald Peraza. But I don't know if I haven't seen enough of him to believe that he's an everyday guy. I know what Verdugo's out there. You could have gone an extra bat for this lineup. You still need a third baseman. So I don't know why you couldn't go for Bregman or even a Justin Turner, who's so good in the clutch, who puts good at bat together every day. So I'm kind of very angry at Cashman that, hey, he had a solid offseason. I'll give him credit for that.
Really good offseason. Really good offseason.
Yeah, but if this thing goes back to all the way last year, why didn't you have another plan for DH at this point this year? That's where I'm kind of frustrated. Okay, we knew this now. Why, there's I don't see the other plan for a DH at the moment. I just, it's not on the roster at the moment.
Yeah, there isn't. And I'll give him credit. He had Cashman had a really good offseason, especially with the pitching staff, going out and getting Max Fried, going out and getting Devin Williams, going out and trading for Cody Bellinger. The moves he made were really good. But a Bregman or a Justin Turner really could have helped.
Yeah, absolutely. Because could have. Because now your already DH is probably Ben Rice, which had a nice couple of weeks, but after that, really didn't do much at all. So I don't love that going in. Excuse me. The opening day with Ben Rice being your everyday DH, but that might be unless they could get an everyday player for Marcus Stroman. Maybe that's their hope. I know they're trying to trade him. Maybe that's maybe they find a guy for that. Maybe I wouldn't mind an Arenado. I really wouldn't. I know he's getting older, but the contract's probably fit too. So maybe. But yeah, now they if they do trade Stroman, hopefully it's for somebody that could at least another bat in that lineup, or somebody you could DH every day or almost every day.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But we got baseball season's going around the corner. I mean, opening day is it's almost close to a month away. So we've talked a lot about the AL East there, but we'll see what ends up happening with the Blue Jays with Guerrero. We'll see what ends up happening there. Red Sox with the Devers Bregman situation. The Yankees with Giancarlo Stanton. So that's going to wrap it up this week on Sport Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We will be back next week talking about Luka's first game against the Mavs. They'll be leading the show with that one. So Luka's first game against the Mavs, Uconn basketball, talking about their week against Georgetown and Providence, and any NFL news or baseball news that comes our way. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.